foot of it now. You see it? I'm supposed to make two. I only did one. We're going to do a gloss wax casting. The flasks are in the kiln and they've been burning out overnight, and we have a kiln controller that follows the recommended procedure for burning out, and it's at 900 degrees, so it's ready to cast. In the kiln I also have a crucible which has been preheated, so we're going to take that out first and add the gold, and then we're going to pull that out and cast it. So first, we're going to wind the casting machine. And this is a centrifugal caster, and it's spring wound, and the metal is forced into the casting by centrifugal force. So I didn't know if that was 4. Okay. The tanks are all primed and ready to go, so let's cast. So today we're casting some gold. This is a little organic flux. Okay, let's get the flask out. Nice clean burnout. This is bright orange. It'll be ready to cast. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's put the brake on. There you go. Very hot gold. We gotta wait 5 minutes and then we'll quench it and we'll see what we got. It needs to be pickled, which is a 10% nitric acid solution. So it's fairly weak, but it's good enough to remove oxidation that occurs in the casting. So if you remember that silver one came out, it was absolutely black. Now it isn't. And we put it in the ultrasonic cleaner to get the rest of the stuff off of it, which is noisy. Cloud right there, that's the junk. Ooh, Okay, when you are casting, you need more metal than you need for the finished product. So this is called a sprue, and that's how the metal gets in. And this is called a button, which is a reservoir. So when the metal shrinks a little bit, there's metal to go in. So the first thing we do is, I got some power cutters here, and we cut that thing off. And then I'm gonna get some more off of it. And then I've got the rims for this. And the next thing I'm going to do with this is to saw that piece out. So I've got a heavy blade in here, heavy for jewelry, light for everything else. Put a little tension on it so it's got some stiff. Castings are hard to saw because the grain structure has been enlarged by about a factor of 4, and it's just harder to pull a saw through this stuff. It's really tough. You notice I'm keeping my finger out of the way of the saw blade, because when it goes through, the next target is pain and agony. Okay, so that's the silver one. Now the gold ones. So I got to take that little knobble out right there where the sprue was. So on this one, you see? And let's see how it fits. This is fantastic. What I'm going to do is, when I get the other one done and get this finished, I'm going to put them in a press, and I'm going to press fit them together. It's going to be fantastic. So this is a gold rim on a mountain scene, and when it's all together, we're going to wire it up and solder it for you. So I'm filing the edges because it evens everything out and takes out all the bumps. If it just went straight to grinding the edges with sandpaper, it wouldn't be as nice a finish. So it's just something a little bit extra that you should always do if you like quality products. So this is a 2-cut file. We're just getting it nice and even. You see, like, there's a blip right there. So we're going to take that little thing out. There it goes. See, now with the nice flat file, it just blends it right in. And then I'll just go around the edge very quickly with another 2-cut file, but it's a different shape, and it'll just make everything nice and even. And then we're going to take sandpaper to it to smooth it out and get all the marks out. See, there's another little blip right there. Not a Florida blip either. Okay. So, this is some of the stuff that I use to make rings come out nicely. So this is 220 grit. I usually have a dust sucker running, but it's so noisy that we're going to eliminate it for this. So I'm going to go around the edge. I just set an angle and I just rotate this. See, there's another one right there. Okay. Now I'm going to do the edge. But the reason I'm going across it is it just makes getting something round on the edge. This is the best way to do it. If you go crossways first and then go lengthwise, it comes out nice and even. It's something I learned long ago in New York City, working in the diamond district. Okay, and then I'll repeat the same thing I just did with the 400 grit, and then I will polish the edge with a rubber wheel. And you can see that this rubber wheel, I've cut it with a diamond burr to get the shape that I like, so when we do the edge it's nice and round and smooth. And this pre-polished state is good enough to go to the next step. Now on the silver part of this casting, the first thing I'm going to do with a flat file is flat the edges. And I don't want to take a lot of material off, so I'm using a 2-cut file, and it's a flat pillar file, so it's not tapered in any way. So there we go, nice and flat. Now I'm going to take that same 240 grit, and I'm going to do, this is a mountain scene, so I'm going to do just the sky part. And I'm only doing it to make sure that it's nice and smooth and even before we go to the next step. You don't have to be too particular on this part. We're just giving it a finish to take off the skin of the casting. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yep. There. Now I'm going to do the mountains. And for the mountains, I'm going to use a diamond bit. This is a really nice one. I've had it for years. And I'm just going to, once again, I want to get the little fine silver coating that's left on the very surface of the casting. I want to cut through that. Because when we oxidize this, it's just, once you get through this finish, it's going to oxidize much better and it's going to look better. And I like to have some tooth on this anyway. It helps hold the oxidation a little bit longer, and I can define the little areas that are in relief. And so I'm going to do that whole thing, and then we're going to press fit this together and solder it. They're tight, and this one's a little tighter, so I'm just going to get it started here. And we have this wonderful press that we bought in San Francisco, and it was made in the 1940s. That's how good things were made in America back then. And I'm going to set that down there, and then I'm just going to press it. See it down in there? See now, look at that nice tight fit. These are press fit together. I'm still going to wire them together when we solder it, but because they could pop off and expand when you heat it and so forth. But this is a great fit, so I'm really happy with it. It's ready to get soldered, so I'm going to wire the rims on so that they don't move when we solder it. So I'm just using a nice iron binding wire that's soft blackened steel, and pull on this and twist. There we go, nice and tight. And I'm going to put 3 wires on here. And then this ring, you see the reason we make the inside thicker. Now I have a nice ledge to set all the soldering pallions on, and it makes it much easier to solder. So that's why we do it this way. There you go. Probably stop. What I'm doing right now is I'm preheating the ring and I'm putting this special flux on it that keeps the surface of the silver from reoxidizing after I just ground all the surface of it off. It'll just bring it right back. So this stuff is works really well. But I got to coat the whole thing, so it's laborious. It comes in a spray bottle, but that's worthless. Okay. I want that nice frosty white on there. That's good enough. Now the next thing I'm doing, I'm taking regular paste flux and I'm going to flux that seam where we're going to put all the solder in. And flux is simply stuff that makes the solder flow. It's a very good name for a product that does what flux means. A lot of flux. Okay. Pretty good. Now, before I can put any solder on, I have to get this up to about 1100 degrees, and fortunately with this traditional paste flux, when it turns clear, it's the soldering temperature. So you can see it getting dirty, turning kind of thick and gluey, and now it starts to clear. But I don't want to overheat this piece, so I'm going to start putting the solder on first. Come on. I'm not having an easy time today. I'm usually better at this. Okay, here we go. There they go. Oh, that's nice. Okay, now I'm going to flash the whole thing. Want me to say it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the other side. Quench this, and now we're going to cut the wires off. And you can see what happens when they get soldered on. That one didn't. That one didn't, but this one did. Voila! Any steel gets into the pickle, and this will be copper plated. So that's very important to get the binding wire off. And that little trick I learned about rolling it off has served me well. Okay, so now I've got to cut away that nice ledge that I put in there, and I do that with a burr. And the reason I'm doing it in this box, I hope is obvious, we're saving the silver. And it'll fly all over the place. You see. So this takes about an hour to cut all this out. And then I'm going to finish it as normal with sandpaper and little buffing compound and that kind of stuff. What?